Well, most families prepare for the unthinkable with a will, but protecting your digital legacy can be just as important. Many of us store information in various accounts online, and after death, our loved ones may need to access that data. Meg Oliver spoke to one family who suffered devastating consequences after their father died.
It's still hard for Karen Prangley to look at old photos of her dad.
We didn't know at what point we were going to lose my dad.
Greg Prangley suffered 2 devastating strokes in 2009. After a week in a coma, the 62-year-old woke up, but his memory was shot.
My brother and I tried to communicate with him via paper, pen, any way to try to get into this email account where he ran his business from.
Greg could not remember his Yahoo password. His entire business was tied to his account. Within a month, the company collapsed. Greg died in 2014.
You're dealing with the idea that your dad might not be there the next day, and also trying to make sure that you're doing the right thing on his behalf.
Dan Ackerman is a senior editor for CNET. He says you can do more than share your passwords.
So what's the first place you have to go to start protecting your digital life?
I would go to each individual service that you use, social media service or something like Google, where you have a lot of different services that you wrap in together, and look for the appropriate page on each one where you can set up basically your legacy contact or your wishes for what would happen to your account and your information after you die.
Protecting your digital afterlife is a relatively new concept. Part of that plan also includes adding your digital life to your will.
As part of your estate planning, you should almost set up a data executor in your will who has permission to access your account. You either give them the password information ahead of time, or you make them an authorized user of your accounts.
Something Karen's father never did. The family contacted Yahoo for help, but the company's policy states neither the Yahoo account nor any of the content therein are transferable, even when the account owner is deceased.
We learned it the very hard way. Being a small business owner, he had everything in that account. Everything was lost, and we, to this day, never were able to get into that Yahoo account.
Meg Oliver joins me now. Meg, this is something that I think I've only started to think about recently with everybody on Facebook, social media, and some of the people I've known have passed away and their Facebook pages are still up and running. I never even considered the financial ramifications when so much of what we do happens online. Did the family get anywhere with Yahoo at all?
They tried repeatedly, Anne-Marie. They contacted Yahoo. The wife had power of attorney, but nothing seemed to work. Yahoo did offer them a hint at one point, but that led them nowhere.
A hint to what the password would have been? Wow. So do they have any sort of legal options at all?
So it's interesting. There are a handful of states that have some laws that say people have access to a deceased relative's account. However, it varies by company to company. So you could just be going back from one company to another and not sure what could happen. There is no uniformity, and it could take years for laws to be on the books in all 50 states, which makes it so important to put this as part of your estate planning now.
Right, like included in a will, and like we heard, more than just giving people your passwords, really specify who has access to these accounts. So then what are the biggest risks when it comes to, your digital sort of history online after you die?
We've got the financial aspect, right, where you could be locked out of accounts like your mortgage, your banking, your credit cards. Then you've got the emotional aspect. It's estimated that you probably have about 26 online accounts. So imagine going through the grieving process and then having to go from one account to another.
Yeah.
It's tiring. It's emotionally draining. Then what I found fascinating, there's this ethical perspective. During my research, I found this woman who recently lost her brother suddenly in his 50s. She didn't know what kind of funeral he wanted, and he had everything encrypted. She even got a computer expert to try to get into his account. Nothing worked. She struggled with it. And in the end, she decided to have him cremated, but she told me, she said, I don't know if that's what he would have wanted.
Right, and yeah, you're right about the ethics. I mean, should we even be allowed to go through that sort of stuff? If it's encrypted, maybe he didn't want anyone to read it. Meg Oliver, thank you so much.
You're welcome.